our Rep Here team is on a major heater. Following the big hits from last week, our guys crushed yet again, proving why our team is the best in the industry.
BigT led the way, winning over $167K on FanDuel and DraftKings MLB. Dunkel crushed NASCAR with a $100K shipper this weekend. Our Sunday NASCAR team crushes weekly, so subscribe to our YouTube channel today and set your alerts so you don't miss JJ, Keg, and Coop weekly on our free shows. Hoop added to the heater, shipping for $100K on MLB. You can catch Hoop regularly on our daily Swing for the Fences show on YouTube for his rich parents' plays.
Our guys have not been the only ones winning during this heater. Our members benefit from our premium content, including core plays in all major sports. If you haven't signed up yet, what are you waiting for?
Once again, our NBA Showdown show led to a member print fest with RPS logos dominating the leaderboards. Just Your Daddy turned $26 into $5K. JRex 777 won 6,600 and T Robber 6 shipped for over $20K. Finally, NFL Best Ball is in full swing over on Underdog, and you can get a deposit match up to $100 by using the promo code RUNPURE.
That is it for this week, guys. Make sure you head on over to our YouTube channel to check out our Best Ball content, as Simon and Snyder were joined by Josh Larkey this past week to jump into a Best Ball Mania draft. Until next time, keep running pure.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Tuesday Swing for the Fences show, joined by Mangone and Hoop, breaking down this monster 13-game slate. Looking to keep the mojo going from yesterday. I saw tons of screenshots in the Discord yesterday, some great calls all the way around, and this slate is very, very good for sure. Some pitching options in all tiers, I think. Some hitting options. It doesn't look like there'll be one clear chalky team. I think it'll be pretty spread out, which is always fun for DFS. No weather to really worry about. It's really warm across the country for sure, but no rain delays or postponements that we got to worry about. So just a fun 13-game MLB slate. It's the first day of summer, I guess, according to, I don't know what it is. It's been 100 degrees here recently. It's been very warm across the country the past couple of weeks, but however the calendar is built or whatever, first day of summer. Mangone, what's the temp looking like in Colorado? I don't see any Coors Field on the slate, so I don't know what it's looking like. Is it really hot by you? I know by Hoop, it's very warm over here. In Texas, it's been warm the same all the time. You enjoying some nice heat by you?
Yeah, Coors is it's a 6:40 game. No, they're not in Coors. They're in Miami, and they're on the other slate. But it's actually cooler today. It was hot earlier, the past couple days, but it's like 65 to 75 degrees around there, and it's winds blowing, and the clouds are out. So it's not as hot here, but hey, we got hot games all over the league. Should be a fun time, and should be a nice little 13-game slate for sure. I think pitching's not so clear. I think there's some good options, but there's a lot of ways you can go. And then there's a lot of ways you can go with the bats too today. So overall, it seems like a pretty fun slate.
Yeah, ownership should be spread out everywhere. It makes for a very, very good slate for sure. Maybe a couple spots will get some good ownership, but we'll talk through it as usual. Hoop, very warm in Michigan, you were saying. We got Derek saying stupid hot in the South. Absolutely beautiful here down in Texas. Yes, it is, Philip Dang. Just warm in Texas title. It's beautiful, Philip. I'm out every single day getting those rays, getting some vitamin D in this warm weather. It's pretty humid by you, though. Hey, Hoop. And I see up in the Midwest, there's a lot of spots today that are pretty warm.
I mean, it's hot all around the country, very warm here. Took the kids to the pool for a little bit this afternoon. They did some damage in the pool and at the concession stand. Little guy came back with, I sent him with like $10. And of course, like you send a kid with money, has to spend it all. Him and his buddy came back with like Gatorade, Skittles, ice cream. I mean, they had everything. I was like, what, just get one of everything? He's like, well, yeah, you gave me $10. I was like, okay, and I respect you there. So it was a nice day at the pool. Now it's time to get to work here and pick some winners. Fascinating slate, really. I mean, there's nothing that stands out as like you have to play this offense. Ownership's going to be very spread out. At pitcher, I don't think there's maybe one clear-cut guy, but outside of that, I think it's pretty wide open. So should be a fun slate, and one where offensively we don't really need to worry about ownership all that much.
Yeah, absolutely, which is always fun. Gary said title calling Glock, Philip. Hey, I'm going to read what it says on that account. I see Philip Dang. Glock's got to get that switched over to glaucoma. He said he's on the wrong account. So now that I said Philip Dang, he knows he's on the wrong one. We'll see glaucoma in the chat pretty soon. I see Snyder in chat. He said 105 over 35. Absolutely, Snyder. Sign me up any day. I will never complain about the heat. But once it gets very cold, snow on my car, my hand's absolutely freezing. So I had to get out of the Midwest. I couldn't stand that. So right with you, Snyder. And hey, helps. I see you're running a 7-minute mile right now, Snyder. The heat helps to only go faster. So keep on that grind. I see Davis Smith Jr. in chat says, does the RPS subscription include plays and slate strategies for FanDuel? I've caught the past couple free shows and haven't heard much FanDuel. Only DK. Yeah, we have FanDuel core plays every single day. We have FanDuel cash chart every single day. We do mainly focus on DraftKings more on this show. More of the people that listen to this show do play DraftKings instead of FanDuel. So that is why we do that. There's a big price difference. Like when Lance Lynn was 5-5 or something a couple times ago or whatever, we bring that up. But I mean, I play on both sites every single day. A lot of people still play FanDuel, but more people that watch this generally play DraftKings. But yes, if you are a premium member, you do get FanDuel core plays from everyone. You do get the FanDuel cash core as well. So if you're not a member and you do want to check it out, David Smith, RPS Heater 25 gets you 25% off. So you can see all of that. Ohio hitting 101, Jay Burton said. Yeah, that's a very nice day for sure. Warm across the country. Balls will be flying. But you look at the totals, I mean, a lot of pretty good totals, like 4.5 all the way to 5. But we don't have any implied totals over 6 for some teams. We don't have Coors Field, unfortunately. So it's an interesting slate, but definitely a fun one when it comes to ownership and stuff being spread around. Before we get into the pitching, all that, I need to talk to you, or I need you, Hoop, to talk about your new little segment that you did yesterday. And then Mangone, I need you to talk about the stuff that you started last week as well. 2 new premium content things. Hoop and Mangone are doing both very good, just adding on to all the other content we have. So Hoop, talk about yesterday. It's called The Assist. You debuted it yesterday. You have it tomorrow as well. Talk a little bit about that, where they can find it.
Yeah, just, part of the process here where we're trying to improve our premium product for our members, make it better. It's always been our goal. And, this is something that I kind of thought about doing, for a while now. It's called the Daily Assist. It's basically, eventually it's going to be a piece that I do every day. Right now, it's just going to be on the days that I'm not on the free show. So we recorded one yesterday. It's just going to be a slate breakdown for me specifically in my plan. And I go really in depth with, which pitchers I'm using, which stacks I'm using, which, parts of the lineup I'm going to be attacking. If I do stack a team, am I going to play a mini? Am I stacking on all my teams? Am I not stacking on all my teams? It's just going to be a very specific breakdown from my point of view on the slate. So, yesterday, I talked about it, and I had 5 or 6 pitchers that I was going to play on DraftKings, and then on FanDuel I said I want Garrett Cole on just about all my teams if possible, and that was the way to go. Really like the Blue Jays, and the low-owned Blue Jays yesterday got the job done, so it was a good start to the show yesterday. We'll have one tomorrow, but again, that is part of the premium product, and as I said, we're always trying to improve the product and the offerings for our members. And I know Mangone released his new piece not too long ago, which is very helpful for people that are looking to single entry, to really focus in on single entry and 3 max. So just overall, like I said, our goal is always to make our premium product better, and these 2 new pieces do just that.
Absolutely. Yeah, man, go and talk a little bit about that. I know it's had very, very good feedback from the members. Talk about that, where they can find it and what you can see every day.
Yeah, basically, when you play single entry and 3 entry max, you don't have, you can go crazy if you want to and just fade the chalk if you think it's going to be very high owned and go way off the board. But sometimes you just want to make some slight pivots, and that changes every single day. Yesterday, I felt like my strategy that I like the most in my single entry stuff was kind of getting off the board and leveraging a little bit of that Lance Lynn, exposure that was going to be on the slate. I had a 5-man Toronto stack with a 3-man Pirates. I even had the Pirates on one of my stacks, which you never see them on there, and they end up putting up 12 runs. So I basically list out 4 to 5 stacks that I'm keying in on. I list 4 to 5 pitchers, and then I give you 3 core plays. So I give you a single entry one, I give you the 3 max one, and I give you another 3 max one. That way you have 3 that you can work with. And I don't give you the all the core plays. You lose 1 compared to the actual core. So you get 2 pitchers and you get 3 hitters. And basically whichever ones are the two hitters, right? So if I have a Boston stack and I put JD Martinez and Xander Bogaerts, that means that's the 5-man stack. And the one that has like the one guy by itself, it could be a 3-man, it could be 2-man, or it could be a one-off. I typically do a lot of 5-3s and 5-2-1s, just so you have an idea. And then I kind of put a breakdown in there. I explain, hey, I think this is the chalk route. And if I want to make a slight pivot, maybe I'll make it here at pitcher. Maybe I'll make it with my bats. Maybe I'll make it with my secondary stack. Just basically talking about the best ways to make the really small pivots to really get you to the top of the leaderboards. I mean, I know Big T has talked about it a lot. Just want to kind of jam in a lot of these good plays in baseball, and that's what's been printing for him. And I think it's a good strategy to go with. I think Hoop's done a great job with that as well. But you just have to find small ways to make it different. Another great example is if the Brewers are a really high-owned team on the slate. You know, Rowdy Tellez is going to be 30% owned. Willie Adames is 30%, and Christian Yelich is 30%. Maybe you only play one of those guys or play two of them, and then naturally you might get a bottom of the order guy like a Jace Peterson at like 5% that hits you 2 home runs and get you to the top. So those are little ways that I'm trying to explain that in the breakdown, and hopefully you guys can learn from that too. Maybe you read it and it helps you apply it to even a different stack that you might like more than me.
Yep, and very good breakdown for sure. Hoop, quick question, because I don't know the answer. Padlick Lewis said, can you sign up with PayPal?
That's a good question. Actually, no, you can't. I know the answer. The answer to that is you cannot. I mean, PayPal is really funky about which sort of companies they're willing to accept payment from, and for some reason they don't like the daily fantasy wording on it. So I don't think you can. But on PayPal, I think you can pay via like credit card through their processing system potentially. So maybe there's a way, but you can't directly pay with PayPal funds.
Gotcha. And then Nazify said, I didn't even see that. So now that NBA is over, Big T added his player pool and stack sheet. And Nick Longrod said Big T is also, Big T just confirmed that as well. So another piece of premium content in addition to Mangone and Hoop. Big T, you can see who he's on every single day now with the stacks, with his player pool. And we know no one's really been hotter than Big T. So tons of MLB content now that that's the main focus with NBA winding down. Still the NHL playoffs, still the Stanley Cup. I don't know if Mangone's been following it, even though he is in Colorado, but nice 2-1 series. So that should be fun as it wraps up. The guys, EJ, Matty Ice, always in there grinding. Saw like 20K up top to Showdown yesterday. So that going on. There's still golf going on, even though who knows who's going to be playing every week from here on out. But prize pools are always massive as usual. NASCAR, MMA, tons of sports, of League of Legends, tons of sports still going on. Tennis, I know. I just keep saying something, then thinking of another sport we have. So tons of content over here as always. RPS Heater 25. Get you 25% off your first month. We got 460 watching, 133 likes. Do us a favor, please. Hit that like button as always. Hit that subscribe button as always. I saw Joey Work here in the first chat, here early and ready to roll. Already smashed that like button. We appreciate it, Joey Work, and always looking out for your winners. 300 is the number. That's what we need going forward. I know you guys will get it done just like you did yesterday, but let's dive right into the slate. A massive 13 gamer starting at pitcher. And man, there's not a clear spot when it comes to pitcher where I think all the ownership's going to go, where there's one clear spot. Yesterday, Garrett Cole, Corbin Burns, McClanahan, Yu Darvish, so many good options up top yesterday. I think there's a lot of ways you can go and some prices that you can go down low as well. But man, I'm going to start with you at pitcher. And I'm going to say Nestor Cortez at 10-4. And I'm going to say bring it down to Spencer Strider at 8.6K, because actually we can go 8K and above. If you have any interest in Kyle Gibson or this Matt Swarmer guy, you can talk about him. Personally, I'm just throwing those two out. But Spencer Strider has to be talked about at 8.6. Nestor Cortez at 10-4, and then everything in that range. Talk about the top tier, how you're breaking it down.
Yeah, I do want to mention, you mentioned Kyle Gibson. I saw that on Big T's player pool today out of nowhere. But Big T did say, and I want to clarify this just so that people know, you can check it out early, but things are going to change, right? Big T's kind of just messing with some stuff there with the player pool. I saw him talking about in the Discord chat. So
I hope for Big T's sake, I hope that changes for him. And I hope he's watching this as well.
We'll have to see. Maybe he's in the chat and he can let us know.
Big T's always lurking. That's the one thing I've learned about Big T. He's always lurking, and the message always finds a way back to him. So,
and he better get that Kyle Gibson out of his player pool. Now that I say that, he's just going to jam him in even more. I know it.
All right. Well, let's talk about this range, because there's definitely a lot to discuss here. So the first talking point, and I kind of mentioned this in my breakdown, like the two chalkiest pitchers on this slate, it's Cortez and it's Sean Manaea. Like those are going to be the two. That's the combo. If you had to pick one, that's the chalkiest option. For me on this slate, I'm not super worried about like as much chalk here. Like I think a lot's going to be spaced out. Yes, you are going to see Manaea probably around that like between 30 and 50% range, more than likely lands like at 40, 45. And Nestor Cortez, you're going to see him float between 25, 35%. They're going to have some ownership. It just depends what you think of those two guys versus the others. I think one strategy you can deploy on this slate is just be like, hey, let me play like Cortez and Manaea away from each other more. That way you're not landing on that same combo as everyone else if you'd like to, but not saying you have to do that. Cortez is my number one. If I had to pick one guy that I would just play and go to, it's going to be him, even with the price. I think Manaea could have his struggles against Arizona. We know they can get a hold of lefties at times. Yes, it is a low total. The strikeout prop is good. It's a 5.5 minus 180 on the juice. And Cortez is at a 5.5 as well. So that's worth mentioning. But I still think Cortez against this Tampa Bay lineup that's been banged up, it's my favorite pitcher on the slate overall. Looking to get exposure to him. Manaea is definitely another one that I said before, I'm going to get exposure to at that $9K price tag. I think he's a good option, but I am a little scared of those Arizona lefties more than I am of the Tampa Bay ones. We should talk about some other guys up top, though. Let's talk about Kevin Gausman and let's talk about Dylan Cease because they're both in the same game. They both have extreme pitchers, umpires, and they're both going against offenses that have been hitting the ball a lot better as of late. So it's a really tough spot for me to decide what to do. Kevin Gausman definitely can get the job done here in this spot, but White Sox have been hitting the ball better, and I don't know if I want to attack them necessarily. And I think there's enough pitchers at the top where I'm going to stay away from him. If I do play one of the guys in this game, it's probably Dylan Cease. And that's just because look at his strikeout prop. It's 7.5. On top of that, he's going to be pretty low owned. Toronto has been hitting the ball well, but I think Dylan Cease at 9.8K, I think he's worth taking stabs at in tournaments. It feels better in large field tournaments. I'm still looking to add one more pitcher to my pool in my 3max article. I haven't really decided who the guy is going to be yet. So maybe you guys talk me into him. Maybe you guys talk me to Zach Gallen against this San Diego team that is really a watered down lineup right now. It's definitely one that I think that you can target for sure. But Gallen's at 9.3. So it just depends if you want to pay that price tag. Another guy that I'm really interested in is Spencer Strider. And the reason I'm interested in Spencer Strider at 8.6K is if you look at what his ceiling is, he has a ceiling that could be the highest pitcher on the slate. You can't say that about every pitcher, right? You can't say that about Kyle Gibson, Desclafani, Rich Hill, a lot of these guys. But Spencer Strider's strikeout rate is just so high. He does have his walk problems, which could, puts the floor a little lower. But at the end of the day, Strider 8.6 is in my player pool and someone that I'm not ignoring on this slate and I'm going to get exposure to. And then I think that kind of caps out my range. Like those are the main three that I'm focusing on. Focusing on Cortez, focusing on Manaea and Strider as my top three pitchers. And then I have some other guys that we can talk about cheaper. And maybe you guys can talk me into one of these other guys at the top, because I think there's merit to getting exposure to maybe a Gallen or a Cease. But I kind of want to get some of your guys' opinions on it before I make that decision.
Yeah, for me, quick, Gallen is interesting just because you're not seeing Machado in that lineup. He is still hurt. I just don't know if the upside at 9.3, strikeout props only 4.5, you're paying 9.3K. At the end of the day, maybe, pitching isn't like yesterday. I don't think we see 37 pieces from a couple of these guys like we saw Cole and them. So Gallen gets you 20. I think you could be fine with that. As far as Cease, I feel like he's just the ultimate GPP play because the strikeouts are there. The strikeout prop is very good. His problem is he's going against a tough Toronto lineup, which will keep the ownership down. And it's his control. He can't go really 7 innings. You rarely see that because he walks too many. He gets in long at bats and stuff. So, but man, 7.5 strikeout prop, obviously some juice on the under. You're telling me he's 10% owned on this slate. I think there's some merit in taking a shot on him. Definitely an ultimate GPP play because he can bury your lineups, but he does have the ceiling. Like you said with Strider, those two definitely have the highest ceiling with the strikeouts. So Hoop, what are your thoughts? Do you have any interest in Gibson? I see K Fallick in chat. He likes Gibson as well, I guess. 8-1 all the way up to Nestor Cortez. What do you like?
Yeah, I'm not really on Gibson here at 8-1. I'm fine being off of him. I don't know. Every time I try to pick on Texas, it just doesn't work out. I don't think their team's all that good, but they just seem to do enough to disrupt the pitcher's performance. So not going to be on him. Going back up to the top, I think Cortez is fine. Had the one bad start, bounced back with 18 fantasy points last time out. It's a good matchup here against Tampa in this ballpark. Very pitcher friendly. I think he's fine. I'm not going to mess with Gausman or Cease in that game. obviously Cease has upside, but I'm just not going to mess with it today against Toronto. It is 95 in Chicago, and the wind's blowing out 16 miles an hour. And, a Gaussman Cease matchup, you wouldn't expect to see a 9 total. You see there's a 9 total in this game with 2 very respectable pitchers. That should tell you something off both of those guys. Not Perez, not really going to play Gallen. Sean Manaea, I think it's a really good spot for him at home. Team total for Arizona is 3. And he has big time upside. So I like him at 9. And then Strider is a guy that I think we just have to keep playing. I mean, I got to give DC some credit. He was on this guy. I believe it was, I don't know if it was his first start, or I think he was playing him when he was like coming out of the bullpen. He was like 4K, and DC's like, we got to play this guy. He pitched 3 innings, went for like 20 fantasy points in 3 innings, like struck out every single guy. Just been playing him ever since, and the results have been great. Now got up to over 100 pitches last game. Like, that's huge for a big time strikeout dude. So really like him. I'm going to be focused, him, Manaea, and Cortez, I think, up here for the most part.
Yeah, Braves have it is warm there. That is something to mention too, like it is in Chicago, but Braves have a pretty good implied total. They're about minus 175. So you should get the win. Maybe K Fleet, maybe if you have interest in Kyle Gibson, is it because little narrative? He's going a little revenge against his old team. Is that why, K Phallic? If so, let me know, because maybe you would get a little interest and a little revenge narrative with the Kyle Gibson, but not for me. Hoop, I'm going to go back to you. Let's go all the way down below Kyle Gibson, 8K and below. See Romezy Contreras at 7.4K against this Cubs team. Again, you're talking about high implied totals. The Pirates, I know we were talking about a little before, a 5 implied total. So they're expecting to get the win. You get Chicago, I'm not scared of their lineup at all. There's Reed Detmers down there. Man, I don't know what to make of this guy. 6.7K though. Any interest in what? If you wanted a full punt at James Caprillion, I don't have too much interest myself. Jose Urquidy, Steve Boynton always loves these these Astros pitchers. He is taking on the Mets. Anything standing out to you below 8K, Hoop?
Tough slate for pitching, honestly. And I mean, if you guys watch the show, I'm always fine going down and going cheap as long as I can get the bats that I want. But today it's tough to make that case. So, I mean, we have a lot of cheap bats. I mean, it's a big slate. There's a lot of underpriced guys. You can make it work where you really don't come down here all that often. Now, for me, I'm going to be doing about 20 teams today. I will have some exposure. I mean, the first guy I have interest in is this Romezy Contreras guy at 7.4. Favorite at home in this pitcher ballpark, pretty big favorite for the Pirates. I mean, he's minus 160. The guy has looked pretty good in some tougher matchups. Now gets a better one here against the Cubs. I think he has like 20, 25 fantasy point upside. He's a guy that I think I'm definitely good with here. After that, it gets dusty in a hurry. I think the next guy that I have interest in is the next one that you mentioned, Jose Urquidy. But this is one of those situations where I need everything exactly how I want offensively, like where offense fits perfect and I have to come down here. I'd be fine going with a guy like Urquidy, but you're not going to feel comfortable playing him. There's no doubt about that. Caprillion, I think, does get some ownership down here. I don't have a ton of interest in him. I mean, I think the Mariners lineup's good enough to do a little bit of damage in Oakland. So I'm going to probably be off him. So I guess my 2 guys down here would be Contreras and then Urquidy. Oh, and I will say Rich Hill as well. It's 7.2K going up against the Tigers. I don't think he's a high ceiling type guy, but I think he gets like 15 tonight at home against this, not very good Tigers lineup. They are starting to hit a little bit. I mean, they got Eric Haas back. This Riley Green kid looks pretty solid. Baez. So I don't think it's like a slam dunk spot like it would have been maybe 2 weeks ago against this Tigers lineup, but it's still a good enough matchup for me at 7.2K where, like I said, I think he can go get you 15 fantasy points.
Yep, definitely makes some sense. I'm going to go to you. Talk about this range, any interest below 8K, and then touch on Marco Gonzalez, because I see a couple people in chat that Uzi and Frank asked about him. So touch on him as well.
Oh man, I'm not dying to play Marco Gonzalez. I'm good. I get it. Oakland's not as great, but they can definitely put a lot of righties in that lineup and cause problems. I remember there was one day where Big T had a big day and he said Marco Gonzalez is like 50% chalk, and he was down to like stack against them a little bit, which listen, I think if you really want to, I'd rather go Oakland as a mini stack rather than playing Marco Gonzalez for me. I do like Contreras a little bit. One thing I'm kind of thinking a little bit about this game is this is definitely some good hitting weather. If a lot of people are going to be on Contreras, it's something to think about. And he feels like a guy that could get steamed up a bit, where like he comes in at like 25 to like 30% owned, especially as you get up to higher stakes. I could see it. It just depends on the full lineup construction if you need to jam in those big bats. But I do like Contreras on this slate. One strategy I thought about is, let's say I just want to be different right from the start and like I wanted to play the chalkiest offense on the day. Maybe I just play Strider and Contreras together. I don't see many people doing that combination together. I feel like most people are going to grab one of Cortez or one of Minaya and then maybe go down to one of those guys. So that's some things that I'm definitely thinking through and kind of figuring out what pitchers to play. But I do think that Contreras is a good option. I'll probably have exposure to him on at least one of my teams, more than likely, because the Cubs, they've definitely been struggling. And Contreras has a ton of upside. If you look at his strikeout prop, it's 4.5 and it's juiced -160 with an extreme pitcher's umpire. It's definitely a good spot for sure. Also, if you look at some of the cheaper options, like your cutie, he's at 4.5. And I know I butchered his name, so I'm sure the chat will get on me there. James Caprillion, he's a 4.5 strikeout prop where the juice is at +125. Yes, it might be plus money, but the point I'm getting at is Nestor Cortez, his strikeout prop is 5.5. Kevin Gausman, his prop is at 5.5. A lot of these props there at that 5.5 and 4.5 range, where you can make an argument that the gap in prices between like a Cortez to some of these cheap guys, you can punt down with them. Personally, so far, I'm not dying to do that, but maybe your construction leads to that. Maybe you want to get in some big bats and you have to do it. For me right now, my construction is saying that I don't need to go there, but I could convince myself if I kind of build out lineups. Let's say I have like my 5 stacks and I go into SaberSim and I run my teams. I'm going to keep one of those cheap pitchers in there just to see what it's going to do for my lineups. Maybe I need to have a cheap guy. Maybe if I go too expensive guys, I'm getting too many guys from the bottom of the order. Maybe it's only giving me like the 6, 7, 8, and 9 guys because I need salary relief. So that's something I'm going to look at when I kind of get off here to finish up my premium content.
Yeah, I like it for sure. I mean, there's no clear pitcher where I think the chalk's going to go. Maybe Minaya right now, I think might be the highest owned. He has 9K, he gets his Arizona team. He's been the most consistent, I guess, pitcher on this slate, but man, Strider 8.6, the upside there. Romezy Contreras 7.4, you get the discount. Maybe someone goes Nestor Cortez, he gets a little bit, but I think pitching spread out and I think hitting spread out today too. So you find your 2 favorite. It's not one of those game theory slates on a 6-game slate where Marco Gonzalez is 50% owned and like for no reason, just because pitching absolutely sucks and you can stack against them easily. You pick your top pitchers today and there are a lot of them. K. Fallick likes Gibson. Sounds like Big T likes Kyle Gibson a little bit. If one of you say Reed Detmers or some people were saying they liked Marco Gonzalez, play a little Marco Gonzalez. It's probably going to be 5% owned. There's against Oakland. So there's no clear-cut pitching is how I'm seeing it. So Hoop, give me your top. I'll say it's a big slate. Give me your top 4 pitchers and how do you rank them? Because, man, I think you, Mangone, and myself could all have different rankings. I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm going to go, honestly, Strider number 1. I mean, I honestly think he has the most upside on the slate. I mean, the fact that he pitched 100 and whatever pitches last game is huge for him. Minaya 2, Cortez, and then, I don't know, I guess give me this Contreras dude. I mean, I don't feel great about it, though.
Yeah, makes sense. I'm going to say Nasty Nestor at 10.4 is the highest price. I think he gets through. I'm not scared of this Tampa lineup at all, especially against lefties. They have not been good. Pitchers Park in Tampa. So I'm going to say, and I think the Yankees put up some runs. He can get the win there. So I'll say him, my favorite, and you are paying the highest price for him. But there's so many cheap bats in this slate that we'll get to. And go, give me your top 4.
Yeah, I'd say Cortez is my number 1 for sure. Manaya's at 2 right now, but I might bump Strider over Minaya the more I'm thinking about it. And then I have Contreras at like 4, but like I agree with Hoop. Like, and like the way he said it, like it makes me think like, okay, do I really want to play like a guy that's 25% here that like feels like he's getting steamed up a bit? Like, again, I'm not trying to say that I'm like trying to overreact too much on ownership, but like what's the difference between Contreras and like maybe punting all the way to the bottom to a Caprillion, right? When the strikeout prop isn't that big of a difference. And maybe that 2K matters in my lineup construction. Maybe that's a difference in me getting like Trout and Ohtani. Maybe it's a difference in me getting another guy like a JD Martinez or a Xander Bogaerts or even a Rafael Devers. It could be a big difference. So it's something I'm going to think about kind of as I build out my teams. So yeah, that's kind of my overall ranking. Seems like we're kind of similar there. And like I said, I think Contreras really becomes like the chalkiest cheap pitcher for sure on this slate.
Yeah, quick question for you, Mangone. No, Brandon F asked no Harper tonight. So do you have any Martin Perez love? He is expensive. He's 9.6. Like you got Manaea there at 9K, Strider 8.6, Nestor at 10.4. So he's kind of in that Dylan Cease, I expect to have more ownership in that range at 9.8. With no Harper, does that get you on Martin Perez at all or no?
Not dying to play him. I think I'd rather go Cease instead for like what his strikeout upside can be. I do feel like there's like, if I am going to go like a guy who's a 4.5 strikeout prop, is it really Martin Perez? I just think there's enough guys like at the bottom where I can try and take my chance there. Right. So I'm not really dying to play Martin Perez at that price. I understand it. Maybe Hoop is a better opinion on it, because I feel like he's jumped on Martin Perez and I really haven't jumped on him at all this year.
I feel like he's been on literally like every slate that us three have been on the show. Martin Perez name always seems to come up. Anything you want to mention or add with Martin Perez? Who?
Yeah, I mean, I still remember the show when someone in the chat brought him up and we like looked up to what he's been doing. Like, holy shit! Like, where did this guy come from? I don't know. I don't think I want to go there. He got rocked against the White Sox. I don't know. I'll continue to not be on him, but yeah, the name just gets brought up no matter what. There must be like a huge group of like Martin Perez guys out there, because it continues to get brought up, but I don't think I'll be there tonight.
I think the best way to word it, I think I'm thinking through now, is like, I would probably play Perez if like don't prioritize him. Don't, when you're building out your teams, don't jam in Martin Perez. But if as you're building out teams and you have a lot of cheaper stacks and Martin Perez fits the bill, like go for it. I think that's perfectly fine, but don't prioritize him on this slate. If you are looking for his differentiation piece, but for me, I just think there's so many other options. There's Dylan Cease, there's Cortez, even Gallen against this watered down San Diego lineup, Sean Manaea, Strider. There's so many guys that can find a way there that I don't love Martin Perez, but maybe these are guys that keep playing Martin Perez and keep printing for him. And I understand riding the wave when it keeps working out for you.
Yeah, I mean, the game log looks good. And I guess another like bump for if you do like Gibson with Big T, K Falik, or Martin Perez, this game's in Texas. It's a hit, or it's a pitcher's park. I assume the roof's going to be closed today like usual. So, man, if you look at all these other spots where it's 90, 95, 93 across the country and the balls are going to be flying, it's not going to be flying in Texas. It's a good pitcher's park. So, yeah, that's I guess another bump if you do like a Gibson or you do like a Martin Perez a little bit. Or if you're looking for a tiebreaker when it comes to pitcher today, look at the weather difference, look at the parks. And yeah, I think that's a good way to go about it today. And especially when the weather keeps getting really hot in the heart of summer. So that is pitcher for you. A lot of options and a lot of ranges for sure. Curious to see who DC is on. Curious to see what some of the other core plays are on, since there are a lot of ways to go and a lot of different price ranges. Before we get to the game by game breakdown, let's talk about a little members never win segment. Scrogs 811 won $5,000 in PGA. Congrats to you, Scrogs. D Jones MB 20,000 in MLB. Congrats to you, D Jones. And then DFS Hofbro King, man, he is all over the place. It says 100,000 in MLB. He's
literally at the top of the leaderboard every single night. Like he's within striking distance every single night. I mean, it's super impressive. I mean, I just know now when I pull up the app and go to the leaderboard of these contests that he's going to be at the top. I mean, one of the more impressive runs I've seen from anyone.
Oh, he's definitely up there as one of the best DFS players in multitude of sports for sure. It says 100,000 screenshot. I think yesterday he won 250,000, 300,000 maybe. He absolutely crushes. Yeah. So shout out to you. He's in the Discord all the time. He has his own process. He does his own stuff, but want to shout you out, DFS Hofbro. You've absolutely been smashing. Keep it going. It's cool to see. All right, let's get game by game. Let's see, about 600 watching, 200 likes, 300 is the name for the plays of the day. And we'll get you the plays of the day. We're going to go game by game, but let's go. Start it off right away. The Nationals and the Baltimore Orioles. Eric Fetty and Jordan Lyles on the mound. Get a little 9.5 total. Any bats for you in this game, Hoop?
Yeah, I actually like this game because I think it's two teams that have the potential to go overlooked, and two pretty bad pitchers in my opinion, Fetty and Lyles. I mean, no one really wants. I mean, who's really going to be excited to play the Orioles on a full slate? But their team total is sitting at 5, and there's a lot of teams that are sitting at 5, so they're going to go overlooked. And Just looking at this lineup, relatively cheap for the most part. You can get everyone in. You could still play Cortez and whoever you want at pitcher if you go ahead and stack up the Orioles tonight. So really like them, and they fill a lot of positions. You get a catcher batting 6 with some upside in whatever this guy's name is, Rushman, if that's how you pronounce it. Cedric Mullins, big upside player. So love the Orioles. And then I'm on the Nationals too, a team where, if you're playing 20 teams and you have a couple national stacks, you're probably going to be over the field. Big time upside with these guys. Soto, Bell, Cruz, love them. You get an upside catcher in Ruiz as well. 2 teams that I think go overlooked tonight. And I think they have the potential to be on the winner. So very interested in both these teams tonight.
And going over to you. It is in Camden Yards. Unfortunately, it's not like last year and the prior years where, if this was in the old Camden Yards, I'd be all over this game for sure, but it'd probably be pretty chalky as it's 80 degrees there. Looks like wind's blowing out a little bit, but it's not the old Camden Yards. The ownership should be down on both teams. How are you attacking this game?
I wish this game was in Washington, because even that would be a decent hitting environment.
Yeah.
I just think that would be like a nice little bump for it. But if you look at this full slate, right, and you start listing and I'm kind of doing it in my content, listing my 5 favorite stacks, right, or even 4. It's really hard to make Baltimore on there. So you're going to get this very low owned. They feel like a better mini stack, I think, in my opinion, too, just because they can add some salary relief as you build out your teams, right? Ryan Mountcastle at 3.9K. He can obviously be a good salary relief. Santander, 3.9. That's pretty good. Trey Mancini's only 3.3. Cedric Mullins, he's 4.6. So Rougned Odor, 3.6. There are some good salary relief options where I kind of like this as a mini stack. It's not something I'm prioritizing. And then I'm not really playing any Nationals today. These are 2 pitchers, Fetty and Lyles, that I'm not rostering today. And I typically like to pick on, but it's just going to be tougher today on this slate. So I like Baltimore as a mini stack mainly, but I'm not getting there a ton on this slate.
Makes sense. Let's get to the next game on the slate where I think you guys might have a little interest. The Chicago Cubs, the Pittsburgh Pirates, Matt Swarmer, and Romezy Contreras on the mound. And man, this Pirates team, shout out to DC. I saw him in the Discord yesterday, all over O'Neal Cruz. You look at his price yesterday, 2K. You look at his price today, still 2K. Power speed combination. He got a nice 20 DK points yesterday, 4 RBIs, 2 runs. Absolutely just filled up the stat sheet for sure. I don't think there's going to be a chalky team on the slate. If I had to say there was one chalky, the chalkiest team, I would say it probably is the Pirates, because you look at these prices, they are absolutely free. Jack Sawinski, who had the triple dong on Sunday, 2-1. Vogelbach, 2-5. Brian Hayes, 3-6. Brian Reynolds, 3-8. The highest priced dudes on this team, Brian Reynolds, 3.8. Brian, 3.6. And then everyone else is below 3K on this team. O'Neal Cruz, I think he's going to be one of the chalkiest hitters. People are going to go back to him after what they saw yesterday. Then you go to the Cubs. Mangone, I think you mentioned a little bit where they're going to be low owned for sure against Romezy. He is going to get some ownership, you think. I don't love targeting hitters in PNC Park, but it is 90 degrees there. So talk about it. It's an interesting spot. Pittsburgh, Chicago. How are you attacking it? Mangone.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I didn't know which one you said. Maybe I missed it, but I do want to mention that this Pirates team, I was putting them on my stack sheet again because I did it yesterday and they're going with this bad pitcher. I feel like I have to run it back. It just seems simple. And I like him as a main stack. I like him as a mini too, but I think I like them more as the mini today. And one guy that I really, really like is, O'Neal Cruz. I'm going to have exposure to him, right? I definitely will look at him at 2K. You can plug him in at the outfield. You can plug him in at shortstop, but I kind of like Jack Sawinski. So he's one guy I put in my core plays yesterday, was low owned, had a pretty decent game, but he's in the 3 hole at 2.1K and he's not going to gain a lot of ownership. Outfield is absolutely loaded. You can plug in at Jack Sawinski at 2.1 and O'Neal Cruz at 2K. And that could be part of a mini stack in a 5-2-1. And you could jam in just all the bats you want. It's just such a nice little stack. I'm definitely getting exposure to that. There's some other good options you go to as well. Chavez, I think, is certainly in play. Vogelbach at 2.5K at first base. I have some interest in him. And then a Brian Reynolds or a Brian Hayes, he's certainly a good option too that you can get in there. And if you play a Brian Hayes, I did it yesterday, I had Brian Hayes, Sawinski, and O'Neal Cruz with a 5-man Toronto stack that was kind of close in the qualifier to getting up there in that $49. The only thing that was frustrating is the Toronto stack didn't get there all the way. I had Vlad Guerrero, I had Moreno, but still had a pretty good game, even though a guy like Brian Hayes got a 0, and he can easily smash the ball and have a 2 home run game. We know what his power and upside can be. So there's a lot of really good options. I think you can make a 5-man stack out of this. but I prefer the 3-man stack. And if you do think they're popular title today, like Sawinski's a quick way to make it different. He's one of the better projected guys, and I see him coming in at like 5% ownership. So I love a Sawinski and O'Neill Cruz stack for sure as a mini here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's a 13-game slate. It's a Pittsburgh Pirates, so I don't think they're going to be crazy popular or anything. But if I had to put my finger on one team that'll get the most ownership, I mean, O'Neill Cruz, everyone saw what he did yesterday. Dual position eligibility, mid price at 2K. So he will get some ownership. And then you look at the rest of the lineup, they're just so free. So if you're playing 2 top tier pitchers, you're trying to get top offenses, I think people might come to the Pirates to fill out their lineups. Before I get to hoop though, Mangone, you mentioned Vogelbach, you mentioned Chavis. They are both first base eligible. So do you have a preference? And they're 2.5 and 2.6. Do you have a preference if you had to pick one of them, who would be Vogelbach or Chavis, or coin flip?
I mean, based on the ownership, you'd say Chavis, but I don't think it matters that much. Like, just depends on what fits salary-wise. I guess it's only 100, so that probably doesn't matter as well, like you said. My lean is probably Vogelbach, but man, like the Chavis ownership is nice. Like I'm seeing 15% on Vogelbach and then like 1% on Chavis. So I don't know. I guess my lean overall is Chavis if I have to pick, because I don't see much of a big difference between those players based on the projection.
I mean, both guys got popped too. I don't see too much either, but it is interesting since you only can play one of them. Who? Pittsburgh Pirates, Chicago Cubs, 90 degrees in PNC. Any bats for you in this game?
Yeah, not going to be on the Cubs here, but certainly some interest in the Pirates. I mean, they free up the world. I mean, you got a 5 total here, and everyone in their lineup is 3.8K and below, and the majority of them are hovering around the minimum price tag. Sawinski, 2.1K, Vogelbach, 2.5K, Chavis, 2.6. I mean, Chavis is going to be much, they're both first base eligible, him and Vogelbach. I mean, I'd have a hard time playing Chavis over Vogelbach, but game theory people, maybe that makes sense. O'Neill Cruz, we'll get ownership. He's probably going to be 2K for about another week, and then we'll put him up to like 2.5K. And, we'll be playing this guy for probably a month before they get the price right on him. But take advantage of it. I mean, he's probably $2,000 to $2,500 too cheap if the hype is real. So, I mean, a great lineup to play. You got a cheap catcher at 2.8K. Do somewhat agree with Mangone in the fact that I probably prefer to mini stack this team. Like if you're on DraftKings, you can do the full stack, but I do think you're losing out on some degree of upside if you play like 5-man stacks. Like I'll probably have some, but I prefer the other side going with like the 3-man stack with the Pirates. That is very rare where you see a team projected to score 5 runs and their entire lineup is close to free. So take advantage of it.
Yeah, you definitely do not see that very often. Let's see what the likes are. 611 watching, 226 likes. Please do us a favor, hit that like button. And while you're at hitting that like button, you see that right to the bottom right of that? It's called subscribe. Big red subscribe button. Do us a favor, please hit that. We're trying to get 10,000 subscribers. And we're trying to make a push. 9.19K right now. It was like 9.09K 2 weeks ago. Simon's he really, really wants that 10,000. So hit that big red subscribe button. Hit that like button for us, please. Takes 2 seconds. We appreciate it. Want to get you the plays of the day as always. Next game on the slate, the Detroit Tigers, the Boston Red Sox, Bo Brisky and Rich Hill on the mound. This is one of the coolest spots. I believe it is the coolest spot on the slate. 67 degrees in Boston right now, I see. But they do have the highest implied total on the slate at about 5.6. This Bo Brisky guy has been good as of late. Before that, he's looked absolutely awful. I'm not buying into that this dude is any good. But man, if we go to it, would you want to play a Boston team that is only 67 degrees in Fenway, where it's 95 across the country and other places? It is still a hitter's park. Like there's Jarren Duran batting leadoff at a good price tag. Verdugo's still a good price tag. Talk about it. I think Boston's an interesting spot on this slate.
Yeah, I'm interested in Boston still. I mean, anytime Boston is at home, I mean, I think there's something to that. They're just such a better offense when they're at home. They get this Brisky guy who has put together a couple of good starts, but overall the numbers don't look great. It's a tough lineup for a guy like Brisky to get through. Definitely interested here, 1 through 7, I think all in play. Cordero showed a little bit of upside last night. I think 3 hits, got us 15 fantasy points. 2.9K. So you can go down 1 through 7. I mean, they have the highest team total on the slate. So I'm still in on Boston. And then the Tigers, I think, have a couple bats that we can play here. I don't think I go all in and full stack, but you have Javier Baez, a cheap catcher, and Eric Haas at 3.2K. Robbie Grossman's 2.2. I like those three as a little mini stack. Grossman, Baez, and Haas. Very, very cheap and a good degree of upside as well. So moderate interest in Detroit minis and a lot of interest in the Boston side.
Yeah, I like that Eric Haas call. 3.2K. He's a good hitter at the end of the day. I like him in the cleanup spot. Torkelson there, min price at 2K if you want to go there. I know Riley Green, he's the big prospect for them. It is a lefty-lefty matchup. But, man, I'm not scared about Rich Hill. Rich Hill, he's been in the league for a minute for sure. So I don't mind Detroit as a little mini stack. They're very, very similar price to Pittsburgh, and everyone's going to go to Pittsburgh to fill out their lineups with their cheap bats. So maybe the Tigers are a little contrarian option if you're trying to 3-man or something like that. Man, going Boston, Detroit, what do you like for bets?
So I like these Boston bats. Now, one thing I'm a little concerned about is, like, if you look, like, Bo Brisk has been a little bit better, right? I mean, if you look at the game logs and the teams he's played, like, he's done better. But if you look, he's really gotten hurt by righties. And the key is, look at this lineup. I mean, it's a bunch of power righties. You want to get them on your lineups. Like Devers, he's a power lefty, but you got Bogarts. On top of that, you have JD Martinez. You got guys, Trevor Story. These all have power and get the job done here against him. On top of that, the two lefties, Verdugo and Duran, they're both really good salary relief plays that help kind of make things work throughout your lineup. So overall, I really like this Red Sox team. I'm getting exposure to them. I think they're one of the best offenses on the slate, but you kind of have to like run lineups, like run a 5-man Boston stack and see what it does. If it's getting you like a lineup where like it's kind of ugly, like I ran this yesterday and it was one concern I had with Boston when I kind of built out that team. But when I ran my Boston stacks, they had Franchy Cordero, Vasquez, and Jackie Bradley Jr. like that 7, 8, and 9, then only 2 of the power bats, which kind of like had me a bit concerned when building out my team. So sometimes you have to like look and just like run teams throughout like the optimizer with the pitchers that you have and see, am I getting those big bats or are they being left off? And when I jam in those big bats, what do the teams look like? Because maybe they might not be as viable. I don't know if Hoop has like a differing opinion on that, because I know he's really good at like making his teams different at the bottom of the order. Like how many of these guys at the bottom between Cordero, Vasquez, and Bradley, can you play all of them, Hoop, or do you want to limit it to 2 to 3? How do you kind of do that? Because I think it's a really big talking point, not just for this slate, but basically all slates.
Slate to slate dependent. On a 13-game slate, I would most likely avoid going down all in on the bottom. You're like, I don't want a team with Cordero, Vasquez, and Bradley. To get different, I think you can play one of those guys with 4 guys above them. I would not have multiples of those guys. If we're on a 4-game slate, a 5-game slate, yeah, you can do stuff like that. A 13-game slate with a lot of team totals over 5, I would be very particular with how many guys, especially in this order. It could change in a different batting order, but with this Boston team, there's just not a ton of upside with those 3 guys. I don't only play one in my stacks.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, Hoop. Like, I would probably group them like Duran, Devers, Martinez, Bogarts, Verdugo, and Story. I'd probably want at least 4 of them and then only one of those guys. So that's something like sometimes when you build out your teams and you run through and you just look at like 20 or 40 teams and you're like, why am I not getting like why am I getting 2 of these guys at the bottom? Like, what's the reason why? And then when you kind of like lock it where you can get them, it gives you like a weird mix. And sometimes it just, the math doesn't check out and it doesn't work. And you need to kind of like take note of that and then maybe make a pivot. So that's something to think about when you kind of build out your lineups for sure.
I am hesitant to say this because anytime you say something bad about a player on the show, he's going to go yard. But man, what I would do is just X out Jackie Bradley right away. Like, man, you just look at his game log and how he's been. Like, you aren't getting any double-digit performances from him. I personally think you could go a little Franchy, Christian Vasquez, just because, Franchy's going to be very, very lone. He has some power in the 7-hole. And then Vasquez fills out that 8-hole, or he fills out the catcher position, which you like to do in your stack. So I think you could play 2 of them. I just would cross off Jackie Bradley. No way he's in any of my lineups. And then you can just skip him and go to the wraparound. Jarren Duran, he's only 3.3K, 2 stolen bases yesterday. He's at the top of the order. That's how I'd approach it. But like I said, now that I say that, now that we spent a minute talking about Jackie Bradley, he's definitely going to go deep today, and I'm not going to be surprised at all. But yeah,
last time Jackie Bradley Jr. was made fun of on a show, he got like 9 DK points. So title off to a great start. Make sure to get Jackie Bradley Jr.
Yeah, that would be good for him. And yeah, he's probably going to get more than that somehow today. It always happens and always works out that way. But that's how I'd approach it. I think 1 through 8 you can stack. Definitely not clicking Jackie Bradley, but we know how that goes. Let's go to the next game on the slate. The New York Yankees, the Tampa Bay Rays, Nestor Cortez and Jalen Beeks on the mound. It's going to be a bullpen game for Tampa. I mean, man, I saw Steve Boynton mention it in chat earlier, which is why I like Nestor so much too. This Rays lineup just looks garbage for sure. Nestor should have his way with them, you'd think. It is baseball at the end of the day. As far as the Yankees, I don't love picking on bullpen games. I don't love playing hitters in Tampa Bay, especially when it's very warm across the country. 7 total. I think it's an easy stay away. But man, Hoop, how many times have we seen the Yankees, even in a tough spot, just their talent and their power and all of that just gets it done and prevails. So I'm not going to go there today for sure. It is a 13-game slate. But at the end of the day, I guess how shocked would you be if the Yankees are on the winner just because they're just that good?
Yeah, I mean, they continue to impress us basically every single game. But yeah, 7 total. Their team total is under 4. I'm with you. I hate like picking or taking offenses in a bullpen game. I mean, they'll play the matchups. I'm just going to take my chances and be off the Yankees. But like you said, would not be surprised if they're on the winner at the end of the day. And then no Rays for me. So clear fade here for me.
Mango.
Yes, if I was playing like 150 teams today, I would be like, okay, Aaron Judge isn't even in the lineup, so it doesn't even matter. I was thinking like I'd keep Judge in the pool, right?
Oh, yeah, I didn't realize that either. That's a good point. Yeah, definitely no Yanks.
Yeah, I mean, Donaldson maybe is like a one-off. Like you could keep some of these one-offs that are not bad against lefties, maybe like a Stanton, but not looking to load up on these guys. It's a big slate. It's okay to X them if you want to, but if you want to keep some one-offs, I wouldn't tell you it's the worst idea. Like LeMahieu was a one-off, fine, Donaldson, but I'm not expecting the stack to get there. That's kind of the point I'm getting at. But there's a lot of games we can talk about. The Braves and Giants. I think they're next, like Twins. There's a lot of games coming up that I want to talk about.
You got that right, leading us right into the next game. The San Francisco Giants, the Atlanta Braves, Anthony DeSclafani and Spencer Strider on the mound. You look at it, it's 93 degrees in Atlanta. Ball should be flying a bit. We know these Braves. I think they let down a little bit yesterday, but this lineup top to bottom just keeps getting it done. And Spencer Strider, he's definitely going to get some ownership. Any Giants for you, man, going? Is that just a 150? Even in 150, would you cross it off? Talk about this game with one of the best hitting weather on the slate.
No Giants for me. I'm trying to figure out what to do with Atlanta. I feel like when I looked at kind of like the stacks that I put on my premium stuff, I got one more spot left, and I don't know if Atlanta is going to make that cut. That's what I'm trying to figure out. DeSclafani's a guy that throws against lefties a lot. You got Matt Olson, who's a good option. Harris, but the problem I have is this is a very righty heavy lineup. But DeSclafani could still have his issues. It's also hot out there. Wind is blowing out a little bit, only 5 miles an hour. But hey, that hot weather does matter for sure. I do think these Braves are definitely a team that I'm looking to maybe get in as like one of my last teams, but I'm not exactly sure because, like, again, expensive, right? Acuna, 5.8K. Swanson, he's 5.4. Austin Riley, 5.4. Some really expensive tags. I really do like Matt Olson, though. He's like a really good guy that I hope you can get in your 5-2-1s, right? Or as like a mini stack, maybe like a Matt Olson mini stack with like a Travis d'Arnaud at like a tough catcher position sometimes. So I think overall, I have interest in these Braves, but I'm not sure how I'm kind of approaching them with a 5-man stack right now because they do have some expensive price tags and also their positions, they can be a bit rough. There's a lot of outfield eligible guys, so it kind of causes some problems when you build out your lineups.
Hoop, I'm going to go to you. I'll just mention one name, Travis d'Arnaud, homer 4 of his last 5 games, absolutely smashing, get the catcher position, 4.1K only. Then Michael Harris, Alander Arcia down there. Man, the bottom of the order just keeps getting it done too. So talk about the Braves, how you'd stack them, and any Giants for you.
Yeah, definitely in on the Braves here today. Good spot for them. Big total against DeSclafani. I mean, it's a team you can really play anyone. I mean, top to bottom. Like you said, those outfielders at the bottom, I mean, just continue to put up big games and, big time upside. Duvall, Arcia, and Harris. d'Arnaud, like I said, good price tag on him, like 4.1K on DraftKings at catcher. That's a very fair price tag. And then you got the guys up top, Acuna, Swanson, Riley. Definitely interested in the Braves side. Not going to pick on Strider. Strider's, one of my favorite pitchers on the slate. And I don't play the Giants anymore, and it's worked out quite well. So I'll continue with that, especially in this matchup here tonight.
Makes some sense. Please do us a favor. Hit that like button for us, please. Hit that subscribe button. Butthole Jenkins said, let's get to 350 likes today. We easily should be able to do that with over 600 watching. Only 300 is the number we need for the plays of the day, but 350 would be great to see. Get that mojo going in to tonight's great 13-game slate. Let's keep it rolling. The Cleveland Guardians and the Minnesota Twins. Aaron Savale and Joe Ryan on the mound. Get a 9.5 total. It's warm in Minnesota as well, about 86 degrees. And wind's blowing out to center. What, 15 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour, it looks like. Very good hitting weather in Minnesota. Good implied total for the Twins. Hoop, I'll go to you. Byron Buxton, can never say no to him. I think he has a good chance to go yard today. Gary Sanchez in there, Krylov, Ryan Jeffers at the bottom of the order at catcher. Two catchers, actually, Gary Sanchez and Ryan Jeffers. So how would you choose which one to stack? Talk about the Twins and any Guardians for you.
Yeah, so Guardians, or the Cleveland baseball team, the only guy would be a Ramirez for me. I think Joe Ryan's good enough to limit the damage outside of that. But Savale sucks, and I do have some interest in the Twins here. Mid-80s, wind blowing out, like you said. I will say, though, with this Twins lineup, I'm only playing these top guys. This is a lineup I don't really want to go to the bottom, like Kirilloff, Colostino, or however you pronounce his name. Gio Urshela is tilting the roster. I'm focusing on the top of the order. Again, ownership's going to get spread out today. You don't really need to worry about it. So the Twins, 1 through 5 is where I'm going to kind of live when stacking up their team, and then just Jose Ramirez on the other side.
Yeah, always Jose Ramirez is how I look at it. Mangone, Guardians, Twins, talk about it.
Yeah, I love this game. I'm not typically on the Twins a ton, but it does feel like a pretty good spot for the Twins. I'm playing Byron Buxton. Like, I'm getting exposure to him for sure. If you're playing a 5-man stack, right, make sure to get him. He's good for the 2-man stacks, good for the one-offs. You don't want to X him out of your pool. He's going to have a pretty big day, I'm sure. The bottom of the order is a little rough. I did think, hey, this is a Twins team that, like, sometimes their bottom of the order is kind of like all cheap, and you can make some unique ways to go about your teams. Like Gio Urshela, 360s, fine. Kirilloff at 2-2. He feels like decent salary relief that you can put at first base or outfield. I don't know much about Gilberto Celestino, but like not someone I'm like dying to play. It feels like on a big slate, maybe not someone I'm going to load up on. And Ryan Jeffers at 3K, that's fine, but I'd rather have Gary Sanchez at 4 or 5 and try to get him in there in this spot against Savale, because it seems like a really good spot for him to go yard. So I am thinking I'm going to like more so load up on like that 1 through 5, and then maybe try and find like one of those guys as a one-off. Like I don't feel comfortable having 2 of Urshela, Kirilloff, Celestino, and Jeffers, because that bottom of the order does seem a little watered down than normal. Savale struggles with both sides of the plate, so righty, lefty, it doesn't matter which one. Wind is blowing out. It's 86 degrees, and it's a good game to get exposure to. So I'll definitely have some Twins here on this slate.
Yeah, I have to mention Luis Arias too. He is first base and second base eligible. The price isn't 3K anymore. It's 4.7K, but it's definitely warranted. Shout out to Jerker. I know he's a big fan of Arias. DC likes him. Anytime I watch, man, it feels like he's on base every single time. So little Arias, Byron Buxton stack, I think it's expensive for sure, but this Twins team can put up a crooked number. I wouldn't be surprised. Next game on the slate, the Philadelphia Phillies, the Texas Rangers, Kyle Gibson and Martin Perez on the mound. It feels like a spot just like the Yankees and Rays game. It's in a dome. It's in a pitcher's park. Gibson and Martin Perez. A couple of the guys have some interest in Gibson. I don't think Martin Perez is the worst play on the slate. He is 9.6K though. Can't play everyone. And I think this is a pretty easy cross-off game. If it beats me, it beats me. How do you think? How do you approach this game, Mangone?
Yeah. Sorry, I was looking at some
Phillies Tigers, Phillies Rangers.
Phillies Rangers, my bad. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was actually looking at Kyle Gibson a little bit with some of his strikeout numbers, because one of my buddies was talking about how he liked his under a little bit today. I don't know what to do with Gibson. I'm curious to get Big T and K Fallick's thoughts today on the Gibson train, because he's in a revenge game. He is going up against Texas, and that lineup, it's not amazing. So I think you can take advantage of it, but I'm not playing Texas stacks. I'm not playing Philly stacks either, because we're not attacking Martin Perez. It hasn't worked out. Do the Phillies have a lot of power and pop in their lineup? Sure, they do, but JT Realmuto hasn't been impressive. And look at that bottom of the order.
And Harper's not in it as well.
Yep, Didi, Bohm, Verling, Camargo, like Munoz. I'm not super excited about it. It's an 8 implied total. We have a lot of 9.5s, and there's a couple ones coming up that I want to talk about, specifically one spot that I really like on this slate. So let's fade this one and move on to the next one.
Ooh.
Fade.
Toronto Blue Jays, Chicago White Sox, Kevin Gausman and Dylan Cease on the mound. 2 respectable pitchers, but I mean, they started off the year a lot better than they have been in recent form. 95 degrees in Chicago. Looks like the wind is blowing out as well to left. So, man, 2 good pitchers you don't want to target, but man, I got to go to you first. This game stacked it pretty well yesterday with the Blue Jays and the White Sox. You are a White Sox guy. It's not Kevin Gausman in the best form. It's not Cease in the best form. We know he can struggle with command. two solid offenses too. I mean, obviously the Blue Jays top to bottom is good. This White Sox team or lineup's getting better though. Timmy Anderson back. Fortunately, Jake Berger is in the lineup. That is unfortunate, but talk about it. 9 total, as Hoop said, with these two pitchers and the weather. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I actually came really close to making the White Sox one of my stacks on the premium content yesterday. I was so close to getting it there, but I didn't do it.
Shout out to JT. JT had it. I saw when he had Berger in the core. It was my play of the day. So I was like, great, JT. You're on the same. I mean, he didn't do the best Berger, but White Sox got it done. So shout out to JT.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely were a good stack. I think they were like they were either the number. I think they were the number 2 team in the $15 stack to the Pirates. So it was like a 5-3 that way. So it definitely got the job done for sure. I look at this game and I'm just like kind of just gravitated away from it because I see Gausman, I see Cease, and I'm just like, sure, I could see it working out, but I just think there's other spots in this slate I'd rather attack. I wouldn't talk someone out of it and say it's the worst idea, but like I just think there's better spots. So I'm currently fading it. Maybe Hoop has a better take.
I'm on mute now too.
The side I think is interesting is Toronto, just because no one's going to play them. I mean, they look at this game and see 2 good pitchers, but man, that team total for Toronto is approaching 5. I mean, Vegas is projecting them to score some runs here. They have the guys that can do the damage. I like the lineup that they put out. I think this is definitely more of a 150 lineup type play. If you're full MMEing, if you get some moderate exposure to the Blue Jays, you're going to be way over the field. Moderate interest there. On the White Sox side, I will not be, no interest in the White Sox side.
Makes sense. Before we get to the next game, we got 5 games left, 625 watching, 283 likes. Man, that's a little hurtful. I said 300. I'm going to keep it at 300 and stay with the man, my word. But that is hurtful. Not even half the people have clicked that like button. Also, when you do hit the like button, please hit that big red subscribe button for us. Takes 2 seconds. We're here Monday through Friday and Sunday as well. And what you said, man, going Saturday shows as well now. So 7 days a week, we're on here giving some winners. Hit that like button, please. Hit that subscribe. It's very easy to do, and we appreciate it. Next game on the slate. I know, Mangone, you've referenced a couple times that you have interest in one spot in particular. Think it might be this one because I definitely do with the St. Louis Cardinals and the Milwaukee Brewers. Jack Flaherty and Chichi Gonzalez on the mound. When I saw the Brewers pick up Chichi, I was like, what in the world are they doing? They just want to punt this game. They're in first place. Just want to give the Cardinals a little catch up or what? Paul Goldschmidt is not in the lineup, which is very hurtful for sure. But how do you not like the Cardinals? Man, I think you can play this lineup. I'll even say 1 through 9, even though the bottom of the order doesn't look too great. 6 through 9, 2-4, 2-2, 2K, 2K. So they're cheap. Chichi Gonzalez is absolutely cheeks. And I think the Cardinals absolutely light up Milwaukee today. Mangone, is this the stack you were talking about?
Yep. Henry Gold in the chat asked if it's the Mets. It's not the Mets. It is the Cardinals. Chichi sucks. I'm upset that Goldschmidt is not on the, in the lineup, but I think we take advantage of this spot. We know how bad Chichi is against righties. This is a righty heavy lineup, right? Like, this is a great spot for these guys. Not saying you can't play the lefties, but these righties are going to be in a really good spot. Definitely love the Cardinals here. Also want to call out Title. You are from the Milwaukee area, right? You're not living there, but it's hot there right now. And Hey, not everyone knows this. It doesn't happen all the time. That Milwaukee roof is open today. I called the American Field hotline before the show to get the word, and it's 92 degrees and the roof is open, as they said on the
beautiful day in Milwaukee.
Yeah, so you want to play some Cardinals. This is definitely going to be a good spot. Even though their implied total is not as high as I thought it would be, I thought they'd be above 5. I haven't seen it above 5. It's a 9 total overall, but I really think that they're going to get a hold of this one. And I think that this Cardinals team is one of the better stacks on this slate. So I'm loading up on them, and I think they're kind of contrarian here on this slate as well.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I think ownership's going to be spread out. If you like a team, you play them. I like any team against Chichi Gonzalez. So talk about the Cardinals and then any Brewers for you.
Yeah, love the Cardinals. I mean, I would have guessed, without looking at anything, that the Cardinals team total would be like 5.5 or almost approaching 6. Kind of weird that it's not that high. I mean, it's
definitely come out throughout the day. I think the roof being open moved it up a little bit, and then people just know how bad he is. But yeah, it was lower than I thought when I looked at it too.
I mean, to me, this is probably one of my favorite teams tonight. I mean, it's just a really good spot. I mean, Goldschmidt's out, but what that does is gives us opportunity to get some cheaper bats and better lineup spots. You see Juan Yepez batting cleanup 3.1K on DraftKings. So kind of turns their lineup into a value lineup this has to be the best for me. It's the best matchup on the slate going against Chi-Chi.
Let me list the price tags. It's just insane. I just noticed it. Edman is 4.8, Donovan 3.7, Arenado 4.8, Yepez is 3.1, Gorman is 3.9, and the bottom four are 2.4, 2.2, 2K, and 2K. I mean, the price tags are just incredible.
You can do anything in the world when you're stacking this lineup. So yes, Goldschmidt's out, but man, it gives us an opportunity to play a team that's in the best spot probably on this slate. Get some cheap bats and good lineup spots. Love the Cardinals today. There's not much else to say. And then Brewers, I'll be off the Brew Crew here today.
Yeah, I see Steve Boyd and someone else talking in chat, and this is what I was going to get to the next point, talking about the Milwaukee bullpen. It's absolutely lights out with Hader, with Devin Williams and all that. And Steve Boyd said, you better hope they get to him early. Well, of course, you're picking on why you played the Cardinals in this matchup is because of Chi-Chi Gonzalez. You know, he is starting. He's not limited to 2 innings. It's not an opener or any of that. So you play the Cardinals hoping he gets a Chi-Chi early. They put up 5 early or something like that. You don't see Devin Williams. You don't see Josh Hader. You don't see the best arms in the bullpen where, if they don't get to Chi-Chi early, your stack's already dead, and they're not going to get much against the bullpen. So maybe if you want to bet this game or you want to bet the Cardinals, you take the first 5 over for the implied total. Brewers, great bullpen for sure, but you're targeting Chi-Chi Gonzalez. You get a big number on them early, you're not going to see the best arms. So, but
I get all that. But, the reason you play in offense is because of who the starting pitcher is. You don't know who the team's rolling out of their bullpen. Now, let's say that the Cardinals put up 6 early runs. They're up 6-0. Are the Brewers going to their best bullpen arms? Absolutely not. They're throwing one of their worst bullpen arms. So it's really hard to make decisions in DFS based on your MLB DFS based on the opposing team's bullpen. Yes, overall they're a good unit, but if St. Louis puts up 5 early and it's 5-0, they're not putting in their best bullpen arms. So I guess that'd be my counter argument to that.
Yeah, the same thoughts here. You hope he gets to him early for sure. So we'll see. People are saying he only gets last time Chi-Chi was taken out early, went to the bullpen. He's on the Brewers now. Last start wasn't against this is his first start with the Brewers. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they just signed him on waivers a week ago, I saw. So if I'm wrong, you can correct me, but I believe this is his first start with them. Let's get to the next game on the slate, though. We got I'm all in shambles. Oh, the New York Mets, man, going. People are asking if your stack was the Mets. Astros, Mets, Trevor Williams, and Jose Urquidy on the mound. Got a 9 total. Talk about this game for bets.
Hey, it does have a 9 total, so it's not the worst spot. I don't hate the Astros, but they probably just don't make the cut. There's at least one more offense that I have some interest in, and I just don't know how to handle them because their price tags are up, but they have some salary relief. But I think I'm just fading this game. No Astros Mets for me. Maybe an Astros mini, but I'm not forcing it.
Who?
Yeah, not much interest here. Some on the Astros side. Yordan Alvarez, I always want my player pool. Kyle Tucker, I always want my player pool. I will have some Houston bats tonight. It's going to be their main one, so I'm not going to mess around really with the bottom dudes.
Frank confirmed this is his first start. Thank you. I was almost positive, but at the end of the day, it was not 100% sure. So it is his first start for Milwaukee, which I thought. And then Brian said Williams and Hader pitched last night. They both only pitched 1 inning, though. So if they need to go again, they will. But again, if you see Hader and Williams, the stack's already dead. But that's enough beating that dead horse. Next game on the slate, Kansas City Royals, Los Angeles Angels. We got Jonathan Heasley and Reed Detmers on the mound. Looks like about 80 degrees in LA today. Talk about the Angels, talk about the Royals.
Yeah, I do like the Angels here. I think they're in a fine spot. The problem with the Angels, though, not necessarily the problem, but if you're stacking them, it's just got to be like the main guys. Like their lineup is, what do you like to say, cheeks, right?
Yep.
Lineups is cheeks outside of like Ward, Trout, Ohtani, and Walsh. Like there's just not much upside in this lineup. So you got to play the main dudes here, which is fine. We got a big slate. Ownership will be completely spread out, so there's nothing to worry about from that perspective. On the Royals side, I don't mind playing like Salvador Perez at catcher as like a one-off. It's probably it. I don't think Detmers is all that good, but the Royals lineup is also not very good. So it's going to be the Angels, the main Angels guys for me here.
And go.
Yeah, I definitely don't mind this Angels team. They have enough like value throughout their lineup too, which like helps as well. So you can jam in those big bats. You can get your Taylor Ward, your Mike Trout, your Ohtani, and then fill it out with Walsh and one of those other bottom of the order guys. So a lot of ways you can go with this team. I think the Angels are one of the better stacks on this slate. I don't know if they're going to make that final cut for me. I like some other ones, but it just depends if you can get them in there. I mean, again, Ohtani and Trout, those are some expensive tags, but it does help with the value plays that you have kind of mixed in throughout this Angels team.
2 games left. You guys already smashed the 300 for us. We appreciate it. Let's make a push to 350 if we can. We're going to get you these last 2 games, which I don't think there'll be too much interest for offense. Get you the stacks, get you the plays of the day. We'll love to see 350 and hit that big red subscribe button while you're at it as well. Thank you as always. Seattle Mariners, Oakland Athletics, Marco Gonzalez and James Caprillion on the mound. It's warm in Oakland. It's about 90 degrees. And we got Brandon F in chat. I know you haven't got there, but I love a little Mariners mini stack. Mangone, can you get him on board of a little Mariners mini stack? It sounded like you had some interest in Caprillion, so I'm assuming no, but talk about this game.
No interest in this one that much. Maybe you can make an argument. Like, let's say you build out a team. It's like a nice 5-man stack and you're like, oh, I think this Pirates team is too chalky for just any reason, right? Like I'm not that worried about it. That Oakland mini stack, it feels like a pretty interesting one. Like yesterday, I felt like the Tigers mini stack was getting more ownership than the Pirates. And that's why I shifted over to the Pirates over kind of going over to the Detroit side. So I think you can make an argument like a Pinder against a Gonzalez, maybe throwing in a Sean Murphy at a catcher position that's not the easiest to roster. And then like a Jonah Bride. That's not a bad little setup as a mini stack. But again, it's a really big slate. I don't need to go to it. I doubt I'm getting Oakland on like my 3 max stuff, right? Maybe it's more of like an MME thing is like a mini stack and that's it. And I have no interest in that next game, right? 6.5 total title. We have no interest in that game. So I'm just fading kind of most of the rest of the stuff.
Oop, talk about the next 2 games.
Pass and pass. Like, I mean, I guess you can make some case for like the Mariners if you want them, but man, it's a 13-game slate. Why would I come to this ballpark? Like, why come here? I mean, it's just not much upside. Yes, the bats for Oakland are cheap, but man, we have for the Pirates in such a better spot. No, thanks.
Let's get into the stacks. Mangone, throw it to you. Give me your top 3 stacks and then 1 contrarian stack.
Okay. I'll just give you the top 4 and one of them's contrarian. I don't know which one title, but one of them is, right?
Ownership spread out, but yeah, give me one that's like a 5%er.
I'd be curious to hear, title, which one you think is the lower owned one. That's what I want to hear from you. So I got Boston as one of my stacks, Minnesota for sure. Definitely going to be getting exposure to them. St. Louis. And then I have the Pirates. I think St. Louis is the contrarian stack though. Maybe it changes and maybe it's Minnesota, but mine are Boston, Minnesota, St. Louis, and Pittsburgh right now.
Yeah, I would say probably those 2 is what I was going to say. It's going to be spread out at the end of the day. So those are the 2 I was going to say. I'm going to say, I mean, I do like the Cardinals for sure. I'm going to say that Blue Jays White Sox game stack though, 95 degrees, 2 good solid offenses, 2 solid pitchers, which will keep ownership down. But man, runs were just scored there yesterday. That weather, I just cannot get out. Wind blowing out too. I think it's a little good, nice little game stack. Oop, give me your top 4 stacks today.
Number 1's going to be St. Louis. I mean, really like them. I hope they somehow come in overlooked. I mean, I doubt that's the case, but I hope we can get them a little bit lower. I really like Baltimore. Again, I don't think that's one that many people will be on. Washington is one that I have a lot of interest in. I mean, that game should be lower owned, so that's kind of the contrarian approach. And then, I like Boston as well.
I like it. Rolo, he said Arizona, San Diego, question mark. Yeah, Hoop and Mangone had no interest in that game. 6.5 total. There's no reason to go there for bats. It's how we approach it. Let's get into the plays of the day. I will start with myself first with the SO play of the day. I'm going to go to a guy that's treated us well all year long at the catcher position. Alejandro Kirk is back in the lineup in the 4-hole, 4.3K. I like this Blue Jays team a little bit. Like I said, I think the White Sox are interesting too. The dude is absolutely a very good hitter at a weak catcher position. So give me a little Alejandro Kirk as the SO play of the day. Mangone, throw it over to you. The Sweet Travis play of the day. Who do you got?
Yep, I'm going back to one of the guys I put in my core play in the 3 max article the other day. I didn't put O'Neal Cruz because I was like, this guy's going to be a bit chalky. And if you're playing in Pirates Mini, right, you're going to put O'Neal Cruz in there at 2K. So I figured I'd give the people a little bit of toss up. I'm going back to Jack Sawinski, right? He's absolutely been crushing it. 44 in the game before, and then 11 the next game. He's had a lot of bombs this year in that 3-hole, a lefty against a bad Cubs pitcher and that Cubs bullpen. It's not good either. So you're going to get him very low owned, nice little bit of salary relief. So I'm going with Suwinski. And of course I will have him with Bo Cruz on my mini stack, but Suwinski is my guy that'll definitely be low owned. That'll help me get to the top of the leaderboards tonight.
I like it. Hoop, the rich parents play of the day. Cap it off for us.
Yeah, rich parents play of the day. We're going to Baltimore. Like that Baltimore team should be relatively low owned. Nice total there, 9.5. Just going straight to the top of the order because I don't think he's going to be all that owned. Cedric Mullins, the guy's a stud. I think here's what we'll do. I think it's a homer and a stolen base today. So home run, stolen base combo for Cedric Mullins. Rich parents play of the day.
I like it. Suwinski, Cedric Mullins, Alejandro Kirk, the 3 plays of the day. We got 670 watching. This might be one of the highest we've had. Do us a favor, hit that like button for us, please. Hit that big red subscribe button on your way out. If you're not a member and you want to join, RPS Heater 25 gets you 25% off. Head over to Run Pure Sports, check that out. Make sure you check the premium show. See who DC is on, what bats, what pitchers. I believe Holden's on the show as well. Always good content. We will see you in the live show chat. As always, we appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Great slate today. Excited to see some RPS logos up top like there was yesterday. Hit that like, hit that subscribe on the way out. Thanks for hanging out with us. For Mangone, Hoop, Simon Behind the Sticks, I'm Titletown. Good luck, everybody.